Okay, we're going to get started in about 5 minutes. If you'd like to sign up on the sign up sheet, you can do that at this time. Okay, we're going to get started and call this meeting the House Education Curriculum Subcommittee to order. And I'm going to ask Vice Chairman Hilton if he will open us in a word of prayer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If we bow our heads, Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this day today, the warm weather, and we pray that the work of this committee would just honor you and the work that we do and make our students the best and brightest in the whole country. And in the words of Jay-Z, I pray that the best of our todays are the worst of our tomorrows. And we pray these things in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Okay, so today our first bill that we're going to hear is House Bill 914. And Representative Barnes, you look like you are ready to go. Somebody turn you on. Hold on, there you go.
Thank you, Chair Lady. I appreciate the board, the committee for having me this morning. I am presenting House Bill 914, which is the Safe Teens Act, to implement driver's ed in all of the high schools in our state. So in front of the committee, I have data that has shown that our driver fatalities and driver accidents on the road has increased 11%. It also shows that if we were to implement this program, we would put 37,000 students in this program through driver's ed, which would give students a chance to all take driver's ed and not have disparities where private driver's ed courses round about $495 to $500. And this bill will allow students to take driver's ed within the classroom, earn Carnegie credits towards their GPA, and also qualify for scholarships for this course. When I first presented this bill, there's a substitute in front of you. There were questions asked about how do students qualify for the scholarship and if it goes along with the free school lunch program, and the answer to that after doing my research is yes. This is, you qualify for this scholarship through DDS, and their qualification guidelines are those under Medicaid, EBT, SNAP, and those who qualify for free or reduced lunch. So those students are able to qualify for the scholarship. And I did remove lines 33 where it said economic hardship, because this is defined in the code 1521-178. So we didn't need to have economic hardship in the bill. That is the only change that was done from the first bill that I presented. And I did receive a fiscal note, so I can answer your questions about how much this would cost our state. So I also included the fiscal note in front of you as well. DDS would have to pay $359,000. It's a one-time cost to implement the app that the schools would use to run the program. And there will also be an annual cost of around $279,000, which would pay the staff and provide the technology and miscellaneous costs. It's all listed in the fiscal note in front of you. Another plus for this bill is that they can take these courses at TCSG, which gives them more opportunity, as there are over 20 campuses in different neighborhoods around our state where kids are able to take this course if it's not offered directly at the high school. Also in front of you is data on how many students have gone through TCSG already, but with this bill we can increase those numbers. TCSG's course is around $200 cheaper than a private course, not taken away from small business, but also it's not taken away from small business, because people will still use the local driver's ed companies, but it gives people who can't afford that opportunities, and those are the ones that qualify for free or reduced lunch within the school system. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Representative Barnes. And I see that we have some questions. I'm going to get those in order. Vice Chairman Hilton. Oh, okay. So who's 24? Is that Misha? Representative Maynor. Representative Maynor, you can go first.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing the bill, Representative Barnes. 2 quick questions. One, since the fiscal note says that the funding would potentially come from local school boards, did you talk to any of the local school boards, and were they on board with providing the funding for the program?
I did talk to local school boards, and they would be in tune to provide the funding. And I talked to DeKalb County and Fulton County, as I stated last time.
So Fulton County School Board said yes to it?
Yes.
And then the next question is, it says that some schools systems are already offering the program, so the fiscal note does not include the schools that are already offering the program. And if this were to go forward, does this mean that the schools that are already offering it, they would not be eligible for, like, say, state funding if the state decided to do something?
The
'Cause
state,
that's also in the fiscal note.
the fiscal note does account for the schools that are already, and those are mostly in rural counties. I have that printed out as well. I don't think I put it on your desk, but those schools are already participating in the state funding for driver's ed. This bill will expand it to larger school systems in larger counties that don't have the opportunity to take it.
Thank you.
Vice Chairman Hilton.
Just to confirm, so this sheet that you share with, these are the counties that are doing it right
Yep,
now?
It's
that
20. It's
still
about
offer it?
20 or 25 or 30.
If you're not in a county, what do kids typically do? I know with us, our family, we've signed our child up for a class with a private. What are folks doing now? Are they just not taking a class at all?
You could take private classes through like Taggart's and private lessons if you can afford it. You can also still take that, and they can apply for the scholarship through DDS, or your parent does it on the road, and you just sign a waiver saying that your parent drove you, and we don't have any regulations to say that that's happening. So,
Do we know why schools started to drop driver's ed? Was it lack of time?
from what I heard, it was a lack of funding at a certain point, and cars, just finding cars to use and staffing. So
Okay.
here, this bill will allow you to take classes like at TCSG. So the staffing is not a problem in this situation.
Will schools have to buy the cars, I guess?
They have to buy 2 cars, and that's in the fiscal note.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Carter.
Good morning.
Good
Thank
morning.
you.
Thank you.
So my apologies. I was a few minutes late, so I looked down. I was like, "Oh my God, it's 9:30." So you may have discussed this. As a parent of 3 sons, and ex vice chair, whichever adult was available to teach the children, they got in the car with them. Wish they had gone through this training. But my question is there any are there any studies or any research around students who have taken a formal driver's ed before they got their driver's license versus young people who did not and have their driver's license? Do we see like a difference in their like car insurance? Like I know my youngest son, his car insurance is probably more than his car.
There are definitely studies. I have it in my phone. I don't want to.
Okay.
I can.
But you do
send it
see
to
a
you, but
benefit.
there is a benefit, and you do get insurance discount if your child does go through the program.
See, I mean, okay, further question. I think my main question was around the performance of the driver.
Yes, it
Especially
has
young
shown to improve their driver's safety.
Chairman, are you 18?
Yes. There you go. Thank you, Chairwoman, and thank you, Representative, for this bill. Definitely good to see some conversation on how to train our young as they begin driving. So it's a good look there. If you would look at lines 31 through 34 for me. And just, I need a little more explanation here. My question would be is that what you have in here are some student fees, but then if they don't pay them, they still get their credit.
Right. So in that event, then the school would cover it. If they can't afford it, they would still get the credit by taking the class, and they can apply for the scholarship.
So is that needs-based, or is that just wide open? Because then what you're going to do is some are just going to take it and not pay it and just say, come chase me.
It's needs-based, and it would have to be applied through DDS.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Explain that applied through.
They have to apply for an exemption through DDS.
Okay.
So if they can't afford it, then they would have to apply through DDS website, and if they're approved, then it would be allocated for.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Representative Maynor, you're 24.
Thank you. One other quick question. So the schools that are already, since schools are already doing this, they voluntarily decided to do this prior to the legislation. So what's the purpose of the legislation if schools are already doing it? Is it for the purpose of the scholarship?
The legislation is to encourage implementing driver's ed into the high schools. For accident reduction on our roads is to encourage us to appropriate more money towards the scholarship that already exists, and that's why I developed the bill.
Okay, encouragement. Thank you.
Vice Chairman Hilton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to pick up on a line of questioning that the chairman was going down.
Okay.
Because, yeah, that section 31 through 34, I don't read it as it was described. You were saying that DDS somehow picks up the cost somewhere and folks have to apply. I think we almost need to amend that somewhere in there to say that student fees are paid. Because to the chairman's point, if I'm just anyone, I read the second two lines, I said, well, I'm not going to pay. You almost need to say, we'll cover the cost of folks who can't afford it.
Okay.
And then sort of clarify that DDS is picking up the tab somewhere. If that's the case.
All right. I understand that.
Awesome.
Okay, wow. I think, let's see, who's number 12? Representative Glaze.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I really do thank my colleague for bringing this bill. In South Fulton, on South Fulton Parkway, we're having almost an accident a week with students, and talking to the fire chief, his main concern is that they're driving reckless. They're driving too fast for the zone. And so I'm hoping with the encouragement of this bill that students taking driver's ed, because at those schools, South Fulton, we don't have driver's ed offered, that we will get better drivers on the road, and therefore less accidents and less harm to students as they go back and forth to school. So thank you so much for bringing the bill.
Thank you.
Representative Carter.
Oh, thank you. And I think for more clarity on the scholarship, will this be a new offering that will be under DDS for the scholarship, for the training? can you just explain the scholarship? I do understand we probably need to put some language about the need base, but if DDS is going to be responsible for the managing the scholarship, would this be a new fund set aside for them to manage?
It will not be a new fund set aside. It will encourage us to appropriate more money to the fund that already exists, and also appropriate the money to incorporate the $359,000 needed for the one-time fee and the $279 annual fee. So that would be a new appropriation. Yes.
Okay. You verify that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Maynor.
Thank you. So Shavonda Leslie with DDS is watching, and she said there is no scholarship.
There is a scholarship in the appropriations under Joshua's law, yes.
And if she responds back, I will respond back to that. But she did just text me that. But the other thing is, as I think it's a great
It's
bill.
2.4 million, actually.
I think it's a great bill. I used to have a teenage daughter, and when she first started driving, it was scary as a parent just having her on the streets in Atlanta. So I think this is a great bill. The only other thing I would say is Atlanta Public Schools, I've communicated with them, they do not support it coming from local funding.
It could be donations. When the cheese sandwich happened in Decatur City Schools, they got almost $100,000 worth of donations to take care of that tab. So there are people in the community that will also make donations. So that's what's meant by local funds coming from the community.
Okay, I'm going to offer up a point of clarification. There is a scholarship. It's just not under DDS. It's under Joshua's law, the Georgia Drivers Ed Commission.
Right. And you apply through DDS for that scholarship.
Yes. So it's not in their line item. Representative Wilkerson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just as I was listening to the conversation, I would like to throw out there some possible changes that might get to where everybody's going, if that's okay.
Thank you.
Maybe on line, to the chairman's point, on line 30, because the funding source, I think what we're saying is there could be multiple funding sources.
Yes.
So basically the school board chooses what they want to do, if they want to offer it or not. And so now we're trying to figure out how to fund it. Maybe you strike the lines, however, the fee, if you don't pay, strike all of that, because that really is going to be a local school board decision. And then maybe consider adding something like a point 4 that says any other funding sources as approved by the local school board, because that takes into consideration some scholarships, any donations, et cetera. So what you'll end up with is either the school can pay for it, the local school, students can pay for it, the state can pay for it, or if they identify funding sources like some grantor that wants to pay for it, they can do that. So maybe some changes to consider as you look at this bill.
Thank you.
Vice Chairman Hilton.
Well, that's all the chairman about right now. I'm going to pause my question real quick while Legislative Council talks to it.
Vice Chairman Hilton.
All right. This This is an awesome bill. I am a dad of a 17-year-old, 14-year-old, and 12-year-old. And my heart rate every time we get on 285 goes way up. So we absolutely need this. If it's okay with the author, I'd like to work with you personally. I think there's some language, if we get it cleaned up,
Yeah.
we got a bill here.
I
So
appreciate it.
I don't know if we need a motion or not. I'm going to make a motion that we table just to kind of hold on to it right now. And then why don't you and I connect on the floor tomorrow and start working through it even this afternoon. If that's
All right.
okay with you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay, we have a motion to table. Do we have a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Oh. Motion to table takes precedence.
Okay, well, question. We don't do question when you put a motion on the table? Or discussion?
We can. Okay. Representative Carter.
Thank you. So my concern with the motion to table is one of the things that has continuously been said in every committee this week is crossover is tomorrow. This bill is critical, right? We have a lot of craziness going on our highways. Could we not take the time either in sub now to write the amendment? Because it doesn't seem like it's a lot of work that needs to happen, but it's absolutely a bill that we need. And this should be just as critical as some of the other things, because the roads, especially Metro, maybe, well, I don't know, I can't even say Metro, Georgia. So please, as opposed to tabling this, let's take the time, fix it now so it could possibly make it on the floor before crossover tomorrow.
Chairman Irwin.
Representative good bill too. I think good heart here. There is some complication when you ever start charging a student to earn a credit at all, and if you divide it or just offer the opportunity for some to get scholarships. So there's definitely some cleanup that needs to happen within this bill. And it would need a lot of travel today, and meaning that it'd have to get the full and then add a full committee. So I support the recommendation on the table. If Vice Chair is willing to work with you, I think a better bill is going to help more kids in a more timely manner if you work with him quickly on this and see this occur.
Representative Maynor.
This is just from Driver's Services. Joshua's Law does not cover driver's education. It covers the Joshua's Law component, and that does not come from DDS. That comes from the Governor's Office of Highway Safety. Joshua's Law is a component, but it does not flow through DDS. It flows through the Governor's Office of Highway Safety. And it does not cover driver education classes, that component, which is Joshua's Law mandate. That might be, she might be typing fast. That might not have sounded all the way complete, but I think she's at the doctor's office. She said she would have been here today. She just did not know that it was going to be presented as if DDS was responsible in any way.
Thank you. So we have a motion to table and a second. We've discussed that motion. So all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? I think the ayes have it, and we can. So all in favor to table this, please raise your hand. Hold on just a second. Let me make sure I'm getting everybody that's. Keep your hands up. All right. Opposed? Okay, that was 5-2. So I think that this bill is great. I think it's needed. I think it has merit. And I think with tabling it, we will perfect it where it will help more kids than if we rush. This is a big issue, and it's not something that can be rushed. And I think that it will absolutely be a much better bill if we can just pause and make it perfect.
All right. Thank you for
Thank you
listening
so
and
much.
supporting the bill.
Thank you so much for this bill.
All right.
Okay, we've got one more, and we're gonna go quickly because we've got a full committee meeting here in a second. What are we doing? Okay, we've got House Bill 1036. Representative Daniel, if you could come up and tell us your LC number.
Yes, thank you, Chair Lady. All right. Okay, so I'm working from LC 491819S. Is that what
Okay.
you have?
That's what we've got.
Okay, perfect. All right. So what this bill does is it would teach 9th through 12th graders the aspects of human development during pregnancy and about the common comorbidities seen in the maternal mortality crisis through a partnership with DPH and DOE. They are accustomed to working together on other issues. This is set under the health curriculum, not sex ed. So I want to make sure that that's clear. And there's actually, if you look at the bottom of the bill, I worked with DOE and the chairman to make sure that there was a lines 32 to 35, that it's not in sex ed and it does not include any instructional material that deals with sexual intercourse. So this bill, the cost should be minimal. I know that's always a question. DPH and DOE could easily, make a PDF to distribute. And then in terms of the ultrasound video or rendering, it can easily be found online. And there are numerous ones that can be used that I was able to find. One of the impetus for this bill really is the Maternal Mortality Review Committee found that over 60% of the women that die due to issues have a high school diploma or less. And so one of the questions has been, is this about teen pregnancy? Absolutely not. This is an effort to catch women before they are pregnant so that they have a base knowledge of some of the things they need to be aware of, whether that's symptoms, the importance of nutrition, how their baby, develops, and if their child is born early, because in the infant mortality issue, what we see is the number one thing that's responsible for infants dying is prematurity and low birth weight. And so understanding how that really maternal health and infant health are inextricably tied. And so both are here. This is a first of its kind measure. And other countries, they do maternal health education. And it seems to work for them, but here in the U.S., this would be a first of its kind effort to address this problem. And I will take any questions that you have.
Representative Carter.
Thank you, and thank you for the discussion on this. So first, I need clarity on how would this be delivered different, you say in health versus sex education. Kids been out of school a minute, but I'm understanding that the sex education being taught is in health.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't help but think about one of the questions that you brought up in a previous bill is in the gestational development for humans, the thought around what would be taught. So it's kind of two questions.
Yeah, so I assume that you're referring to 822 and my question about medically accurate. That is actually why this bill is laid out so specifically in terms of what needs to be taught, because I think when you include a term like medically accurate, it is relative at times to different organizations. And so simply laying out what needs to be taught is the best way to go about it. And so that's how I've handled that in this bill. What was your second question? Okay, the first one.
question was because you said it's not part of sex education, but it's going to be health education. And my understanding is sex education is taught in health. So I'm trying to.
Yep.
see.
So I put this under health because I think that's the best place for it right now. DPH is responsible for. So the way our health curriculum currently works, after talking to my local school superintendent, DOE isn't the expert in that realm. I mean, the Department of Public Health is. And so the way that curriculum is dealt with oftentimes is they partner with the local health department. So there is some local level of control, if you will, or partnership. And so giving that discretion to DPH, I felt like was important. And so that's how I laid it out.
Okay, Representative.
And really, this just means it can't be taught on the same day as sex ed. That's all it does.
Okay, Representative Glaze.
Thank you so much for bringing this bill. It is groundbreaking, and I certainly know that we agree about maternal mortality and how we can get information and education to young ladies before they enter into the stage of choosing to have children. Can you help me understand how this is going to work inside the school? So just talk about the curriculum. Do we have anything from DPH that says that they're going to have the curriculum ready when they're going to start? Is there a fiscal note with that? Can you just help me through the full embryo to the actual classroom?
Yeah, so after talking to DOE and DPH, every now and then I think it's every 5 years, I believe, every 3 or 5 years, our health curriculum is updated. That is, to my understanding, that timeline is coming up. So this would be on par with when we would start looking at that. But in terms of like you wouldn't have to change a textbook unless they chose to. Like, this isn't going to require a specific textbook. It is not a standalone course. It is just some guidelines, if you will, of something that should be taught when discussing health in general. And so it's on par. So where this falls in code is also where we teach about the dangers of human trafficking, the warning signs to look out for in that, the dangers of smoking and vaping, drug usage, that type of thing, other issues that cause death or illness. And so that's where this falls. So it would be in line with what they're currently doing.
And so they've already given us a date of when that will start?
So whenever this is signed into law, usually they would, so I believe it's July 1st if the date's not specified, and then we would work over the summer. So after talking to DOE and DPH, they both said that they would sit down with myself and the chairman and the authors of this bill to kind of flesh out what exactly we would like in there in terms of, should it include vitamins, the importance of prenatal vitamins. I wrote it intentionally so that DPH would have discretion and that DOE would also have discretion. So.
Representative Howard.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Thank you for the bill. You may have answered my question. My question was this a standalone course, or will it be included in some other textbook? How will it be added? And also, if some of the bills I've seen coming through here, there is a recommendation as far as a start date, and if that's left up to DOE, should it be in the bill? The start date should that be in the bill before we pass it?
Yeah, so I would ask Legislative Counsel over there if I'm open to creating a start date, if that's something that would be a good, measure at the appropriate time.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's an easy thing to accomplish by amendment. It's just a policy decision on when you want it to be. It's not uncommon for us to use August 1st as a kind of a trigger date for things that apply to various state agencies, which would give some opportunity following a July 1 effective date to kind of become operational. and it would still capture almost the entire school year. So if that's feasible and consistent with your policy objectives, we could just insert in line 13 at the beginning, no later than August 1st, 2024.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
And to Representative Glade's point, is there a fiscal note that's going to go with it? Is this going to cost the schools, districts, anything?
No, so I mean, it would be simple to create like a PDF file. A lot of this information we already have that DPH already has compiled. I mean, we know what causes these issues, and we know things that can be helpful in preventing them.
Representative Maynor.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the bill, Representative Daniel. The two things, Mr. Cardoza is here from DOE, and he did say they can make 2024 work. Ideally, they would prefer it to be 2025 when we're looking at the dates. The other thing is lines 25 through 27. I like the fact that it is talking about comorbidities with the maternal mortality, especially just as a Black woman representing a significant portion of Black women in this state, in Atlanta. This would be the first time that it would be a high school curriculum. It is groundbreaking to talk about maternal mortality in this way. And I just want to be clear, this is going to be in the health class, but also within the health class, the teachers may instruct on sex education, but this topic will not be in the curriculum of sex ed. So just want to clarify that.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Representative Carter.
Thank you. Let me be real clear. I think this is great. I'm just having a hard time separating teaching about pregnancy outside of sex.
Well, so this encompasses everything post-fertilization. If I were to write it in a way that includes pre-fertilization, then you're opening the door for, I mean, the way it's written, a high quality computer generated rendering or animation of, intercourse. So words matter, and so the effort was to try and avoid that.
If just for my clarification, what we are talking about here is the science of what happens after the baby is conceived.
Correct.
Okay, so just that process of how cells divide and to become a baby. Okay,
That is correct.
Vice Chairman Hilton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At the appropriate time, I'd like to make a motion to pass.
Okay, we have a couple more questions, and then we will get back. We have someone to speak to the bill, and then we'll get back to you. 26.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you so much for carrying this bill, and love your passion since you've come to the House. Your passion for the women, children. I think it's absolutely amazing. I think right now my wife's currently pregnant. We have a little baby boy, our third in the way, coming May 7th, and there's definitely so much once the baby's conceived, just the different stages and that a woman goes through. And so thank you so much for carrying this. I think it'll do a lot towards lowering the maternal mortality rate here in Georgia. So just thank you so much.
Thank you.
Love your passion.
Thank you.
Representative Maynor.
Thank you, Chair. So my bachelor's degree was in health sciences, and one of the classes that I took in college was human development. And just for clarity for the audience that's out there listening that may be confused with the discussion, having sex is not human development. Having sex is an action. Once the sperm and once the egg fertilize, once the sperm fertilizes the egg, sex is no longer occurring. There is something else that is occurring. It is the developing of a human being, which is why the course was called Human Development. For those in my district that may be watching this is what this bill is about. Thank you.
Okay, we have one person to speak to this bill, Taylor Hawkins, if you could come up. And we do have a full committee that we need to meet after this, so let's,
Madam Chairman, this will be very brief. Taylor Hawkins with Frontline Policy Council. I know we've heard many members talk about the maternal mortality issue in our state, and I just want to echo the words of Representative Clark and say thank you to Representative Daniel for bringing a piece of legislation that starts where we ought to start, which is with the education of the next generation on the causes and potential comorbidities there, and so we can fully address that issue in our state and begin at every level to do so. So we thank the sponsor for this, fully endorse this piece of legislation. We just ask the committee do pass. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, Madam
thank
Chairman.
you so much. Okay, Vice Chairman, I believe you had a motion.
I'll make a motion do pass, and then I know we talked about a date, and I'll defer to the author for her thoughts on that. If we want to clear, and maybe even trying to looking for a head nod from DOE, but yeah, I'll make a motion do pass.
Okay, we have a motion do pass. Do we have a second? Okay, is there any discussion? Oh, Representative Glaze.
So can we amend and put the date, and are you comfortable with 24 or 25? What is your,
Oh,
what
hang
is
on.
your preference?
Yeah, I would prefer 24, but I understand if DOE feels like it's not possible before then. Can he?
Thank you so much. Got it? All right. Thanks so much, Representative Daniel, for working with us on this bill. As I mentioned to her, it never even occurred on the start date because it's not listed in the actual bill that would be, of course, upon signature or July 1. Our standards people might come over here and take me out if I say that 24 is okay. We might be able to do that, but typically we like a year to be able to work through the standards, be able to get those implemented before that next class starts in the fall. So we'll defer to the committee, the ultimate decision.
And I'm okay with that. I want this to be done right and effectively. So if they feel like they need that time, I'm okay with that.
Thank you. So if we amend, it would be easier and to amend this in the full committee that's coming up next. That would cut down on all the administrative paperwork. So if we can, are you willing to hold off on that amendment until the full committee?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. So we have a motion to pass in a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, well, the motion passes. It is on to full.
Thank you.
This meeting is adjourned. Do we want to go straight in, or do you want to?
We'll take a 5-minute recess.
Okay, 5-minute recess. Thank you.